Hi, Diane.
Yes.
Diane, this is Cindy. I'm getting back to you from the Benefits Center for Philadelphia County. This is in regards to the form that you filled out and mailed back on your final expense insurance program for PA citizens.
I'm sorry, what did you say?
That's okay, sweetie. This is Cindy. I'm getting back to you from the Benefits Center. This is in regards to the form that you filled out and you mailed back to us in regards to the final expense insurance program for PA citizens that pays your final expenses to take the burden off your family. Okay. Diane, my job is really simple. It's just to confirm the information you put down here is still correct and find a good time to get out to you. Now, you have down here, sweetheart, that you're 67 years old.
Yes.
Okay. Are you a tobacco or non-tobacco user?
Non-tobacco.
Non-tobacco. Okay. Have you ever been a tobacco user in the past at all?
Yes.
Okay. How long ago did you quit, sweetie?
Oh, about 30 years.
30 years. Okay. Plenty of time then. No worries. Well, congratulations on that. That's not an easy thing to kick. All right. Now, I see that you don't have a spouse listed on here. Are you not married, or did your spouse just not need coverage?
No, we're not divorced, but we separated.
You're separated. Okay. All right. All right. So, like I said, I'm the field underwriter, and you have down here that you're at 5029 North 8th Street in Philadelphia, 19120.
Yes.
Okay. They have me scheduled out in your area tomorrow and Wednesday, and I'm going to be getting out to like 10 people a day. Taking a look at your schedule, Diane, what would be the better of the 2 days for me to catch up with you for a few minutes?
Wednesday.
Wednesday. Okay. Morning, afternoon, or evening?
Afternoon.
Afternoon. Okay. I could either do between 1 and 2 or between 2:30 and 3:30. Which would you prefer?
2 is good. Between 1 and 2 is good.
Between 1 and 2 is good. Okay. All right. Now, being in Philly here, am I going to an apartment building? Is this a home?
No, it's a home.
It's a home. Okay. Can I park in the driveway, or will I need to park in the street?
Park in the street.
On the street. Okay. All right. And again, Diane, my name is Cindy. I'll be the one that's actually coming to see you. Okay. And I'll see you on Wednesday between 1 and 2. Just do me a favor and give me that window to reach you, okay?
Okay. Sorry. Yeah, I will.
All right. All right, sweetie. I'll see.
It's about the funeral expenses.
Yes, that's correct.
And you can help with it.
That's correct.
Okay. Well, maybe I know my husband. I don't think he have any insurance. I'm not sure, but maybe I can have him to come and you could talk to him too.
Okay.
If I could get him to come here.
Okay, that's perfect. That's perfect. I'll be more than happy to sit with both of you, sweetie.
Okay. All right. I'll try to reach him then.
All right, Diane. I'll see you on Wednesday, sweetie.
All right. See you then.
All right. Bye-bye. All right. So then I have my own, I don't know what you guys use for schedules, but this is an example of my schedule that I have. It's pre-done. So obviously, my name's on there, the date, what area I'm working in, and then my times. I do have hour times that are an hour and a half apart, and that's just because the fact that, especially like when I'm doing mortgage protection, and my 5 counties in Pittsburgh are really far from each other. So sometimes I have an hour drive in between appointments. So like last Sunday, I wrote I forget what it was. It was like 6,700 or something that I wrote on Saturday. And I had 6 appointments on my schedule. And I was like almost running behind, like getting at the tail end of each one, just because my drives were like an hour and 5 minutes in between each one. So coming here to Philly, I wasn't really sure. So I'm just keeping the same schedule. If I was doing final expense, where I'm usually those appointments are closer together, so I'll do it like every hour. Just because if something happens, I don't want so much time in between. But since this is my first time running out here, I just figured I would keep my mortgage protection schedule just so that I had that additional time if I get turned around or if I'm stuck in traffic, because I'm not really sure what it's like here yet. So I'll figure that out. And then if you see on the bottom, I like to keep track of my, how many appointments, presentations, sales, no needs, one legs, no shows, cut shorts, agent resets, client resets, how many door knocks I do, RDs. Like if I go to the door and then they're like, hey, we're not letting you in or don't want to talk to you. And then this would be like a think over. So if I sat with them and they wanted to think about it, and these are just so that I can manage my own numbers, so that I can look and see what my real numbers are, like what I'm actually doing with, you know, how many appointments I'm getting, and then how many people I'm actually sitting down with, and then how many of those I'm closing. And then it also opens up the opportunity that if I'm getting, you know, too many one legs, then there's something I need to focus on in regards to, you know, on the phone. You know, same thing, you know, if I'm getting cut short, what a cut short is for me, a cut short is if I get cut short of being able to ask for a check. So I don't get to the point that I can ask for a check. Cut shorts can be, which we don't deal with very much on this side, obviously, is like people who are medically insurable, but we have a lot of programs and products that really isn't an issue here. So, and again, it's just something that I use to just keep myself on track, and so I can, you know, kind of like self-diagnose and then keep myself on the right track. So then I just write their information in here so that I know where I'm going. Because once I get going on the road, God bless and Godspeed, because I just kind of go. So I try not to shortcut myself on this side. All right, so I'm going to leave the part for the spouse open just because she said that she was, you know, going to try to get him there and see. And then I just write final expense, and then at the end I have a place to put the company, the product that I wrote, and the annual premium, again, just so I always have something to go back and look at and find, because I would love to say that I remember this stuff, but I do not remember very well. So I have plenty of checks and balances. I also use an app on my phone. So after I do write a sale, when I leave the house, because I know I'm going to later on need to send the numbers over, I use an app. See how, wow, being 40, I guess, makes you forget everything. It's called GroupMe, which I know a lot of other people, you know, you can use any type of app, but I just use it. My husband and I are on it, and I just put, you know, the name of my client, what company, what product, the annual premium, whether it was approved in the house, whether it was a paper app, just so that I can go back through it. And then as soon as that I get paid on that policy, then there's a place in there you can put like a little heart next to it. So then I put a heart next to it. So then I can easily scroll through and know, hey, you know, this one hasn't been, you know, I haven't been paid on it yet, so I need to double check on it. Because when you start getting to writing, you know, so much business, it really gets hard to keep track of all of it. So that's just one way I've found to do that. And I also have used an app called Set More, where I set my appointments in there. I'm not going to do that today while I'm doing this, just so I can get through more calls. But on the Set More app, I can put my appointments in there, and then I can always refer back to them. So by looking up the number or by last name, I can see when I sat with the person. And then in there, I can write what the annual premium was, what product I wrote, what company I wrote. And again, it's just a way when I'm out on the road that I can just go in there, no matter where I am, I can always see, you know, because, you know, people call you. And I mean, if I sat with you on Saturday, I probably already forgot your name. I might know what companies I kind of sort of wrote, but I'm always going, so my mind is always going a mile a minute. I wish I had a remote access code. That'd make my life simpler. And I'm silly too, I apologize. Hi, Lucy? Lucy?
Yes.
This is Cyndi. I'm getting back to you from the Benefits Center in Philadelphia for Philadelphia County.
Right. I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
This is Cyndi. I'm getting back to you from the Benefits Center for Philadelphia County. This is in regards to that form you just filled out and mailed back for the final expense insurance program for PA citizens that pays for your final expenses to take the burden off your family.
Yeah, okay, I'm sorry. I was sick and surgery. I'll talk to you later.
Okay, so she said that. Are you there? She said that she was sick. When people say that they're sick, especially when they're older, like 75, if they're younger, I'll call them back. When they're older, what I simply do is make them a door knock. And if she's 75, they're usually up really early in the morning. So I will make her one of my first people that I door knock in the morning. And I'll just say, hey, I tried to call you yesterday. A lot of times they just say it because they can't hear you on the phone very well. And even when you slow it down and you're not getting a response and they don't understand, they'll say that, they're sick or they're busy. And what I take that as is that not that they don't want to see me, but as you get older, it's really hard to tell people like that that you can't hear them or you can't understand them. So I just put them as a door knock and I show up at their door. And then once they can see me and then we can speak and it just flows much better. And it says here that her husband, James, she listed him as deceased. So at the bottom of my schedule, I have a bridge door knocks. So I will list her in there for tomorrow morning. And I will make sure to stop out and see her. That's just the best way that I found. I mean, because if you call them back, a lot of times you just aggravate them, especially if they really can't hear you, which I'm assuming that was her issue. This one doesn't have a phone number, so I'm going to put that in my door knock pile also. So what I do is I make a door knock pile, and then what I do is I will look at some of these addresses and some of the zip codes I'm at, and if I have a zip code and a door knock that's in the same zip code, I'll put door knock in the spot there so that I know that I didn't have a set appointment, and then I'll put them in there, and because they're obviously in the same zip code, it makes sense to stop and see them then. And anything else, I'll just fit in wherever I can. So I usually then take all my leads and put them, and depending, in Pittsburgh, I do it by county. And then here, since it's all one county, I'll do it by zip code. So then if I get no-showed or appointment goes really quick and I have time, then I can just look for other ones that are in that specific zip code and be able to, go right over there, knock on the door, and see them. I also do 2-for-2ing. So if those who don't know what 2-for-2ing is, 2-for-2ing is you do 2 calls before and 2 calls after every appointment. So when I'm driving up to an appointment and I'm almost there, I'll pull over to the side of the road, take my leads out, I'll call 2 leads, and then go to that appointment. And then when I'm done with that appointment, I'll drive down the road, around the corner, just so that I'm not anywhere they can see me, because that's kind of weird. I will pull over again and let them, and then make 2 more calls to 2 different leads. And if you keep doing that, the whole idea of the process is, like, when we're calling on Mondays and Thursdays, that's great, but what if you're always calling on Monday and Thursdays and those people are never available in that time, or you'll always happen to call them in the morning, but they're only home in the evening. So the 2-for-2ing just helps you to get an extra calls you normally wouldn't get. And since it's only 2 calls before and 2 calls after, it's something that's quick and easy. So it's not time consuming. So you're just more likely to do it. And if you constantly do that and make it part of your habit. So if I get them and they can't sit with me Tuesday or Wednesday, and I'm in the field calling, then I just start doing some presets for my weekends. I'm really a firm believer in, if you get someone on the phone, to get them set for an appointment, even if it's not for those 2 days, because sometimes legitimately people aren't going to be home. And so in that circumstance, I always want to get them on my schedule, because it's easier to adjust them on the schedule or to reschedule them, or to just completely show up at that point, than it is to try to get in touch with them again. As we all know that, callbacks do not equal greenbacks. So I really try not to have to call people back. I just want to get something set while I'm on the phone with them then, and make sure that it's something that's gonna work, so they're gonna be there. Hi, Tracy. Hi, Tracy. This is Cindy. I'm getting back to you from the Benefits Center for Philadelphia County. This is in regards to the form that you filled out and mailed back on the final expense insurance program for PA citizens that pays for your funeral expenses to take the burden off your family.
I didn't put out no form like that.
Oh, sweetie, I've got it filled out right here from you. You put down that you put down you're 52, and you put down that you were out there at 6434 Haverford Avenue in Philadelphia.
Right. I already have life insurance, sweetie. I don't know who did that.
Okay, so you don't know who filled out the form because it was just sent back to me.
Okay, maybe it's sent to you. I don't know when it was sent back to you.
Okay.
I already have life insurance.
You have life insurance. Do you have final expense coverage though, or you just have life insurance?
But if I don't have it, I won't have it because I don't have no extra money to dish out my house for anything.
I got it. So do you remember getting that letter at your house? I mean, is there maybe somebody else who would have filled it out? And she goes down as a door knock. I'm like the door knock queen. I love to door knock people. So I just make myself a note of, what happened on the call. Said she didn't fill it out. Obviously she did. And I typically at that point do the concern, hey, I spoke to you, Tracy, the other day, and you said that you hadn't filled this out, so I wanted you to see it because I was concerned in regards to somebody else having your mail and sending things back for you in your name, and that kind of like brings the cat out of the bag at that point, I guess is the best way to put it. But it's not like me. You have to be careful how you approach it, because if you approach her like, hey, look, I know you did this, because sometimes the first time when I'm like, oh, that's weird because I have this, you put down this, they're like, oh, yeah, that's right. And then they remember. But since she's saying that she didn't, if I go to her house and say, hey, see, you said you didn't do this, here it is. She's either going to say she didn't do it, or it just makes a confrontational situation, which is going to be completely non-productive. You're wasting her time and your time. That doesn't make any sense. So instead what I do is I approach it as, hey, Tracy, we spoke the other day, we got disconnected, but I was concerned because you said you hadn't filled this out. So I want to make sure, I wanted to show you what was sent back since it's got all your information on it. And they're like, oh, okay. So it's more the concern type, the concern side rather than it being confrontational. So you have to be really careful too and think about, who you're calling. And it could just be when I called her right now, she just wasn't in the mood to talk about it. Like there's times that I fill something out and then someone calls me and my girls were just like, going at it, and everybody wants something and I've got 500 things going on and I just don't want to deal with it right that second. I mean, these people are human. So, if you call, it may have just been a bad time. So the easiest thing to say is, I didn't fill it out. I don't know what you're talking about. And 9 times out of 10, when you go back and sit down or you knock on the door and you talk to them, they're like, oh yeah, you know what? I really apologize. I'm sorry. I was having a bad day. I just didn't want to deal with it. Can you remind me what this is about again? And then you'd be surprised how many doors that opens. And it may not be the door of her, understand? Like, I may go there and she may have everything she needs. But she's got friends, family, other people who she knows. Hey, I wasn't able to help you, Tracy, because you had these things taken care of. I'm sure you know plenty of situations in your family with friends that it hasn't been taken care of, or they don't know who to call, or they don't know who they can trust. What I can do is, I'll do you a favor and I'll get out to them and help them out and make sure that they're where they need to be as well, so that we make sure everybody's, on the same page. So again, it's about, your leads are about what you make of them. And sometimes a lead isn't about sitting down with that person and making a sale. Sometimes you're sent to that person. I believe there's times I've been sent to people for reasons I had no idea about, but you get there and you think you're, okay, I'm going to sit down with this person, I'm going to write them insurance, and it's really not about them. It's about getting you in front of them so that they see you and they have that personal relationship with you, that they trust you, that then they say, you know what, actually, my sister was telling me that she needed some coverage but wasn't sure where to go, and I don't remember who I got mine through, or I did mine through the mail, or, hey, could you go see her? Just kind of like that wife, her and her husband are separated. And she said, hey, if I can get him over here, I don't think he has this taken care of. So if I can get him over here, can you talk to both of us? Again, you'd be surprised how many more doors that you open. It's just all about the approach. It's all about how you reach out to that person. All right, this name, okay. Okay, I'm going to try this. Let's see. There is a lot of very unique names here that I have. Oh, might help if I dial the right number. And I'm the queen of dialing wrong numbers, too. I believe I have dyslexia. I don't know if I do or not, but I mix up numbers all the time.
Hello?
Hi, is Elijah? Hi, is Elijah Chu there?
Huh?
I may not be pronouncing the name right, and I apologize. It's Ejigayehu.
Yes, how can I help you?
Okay, this is Cyndi. I'm getting back to you from the Benefits Center for Philadelphia County. This is in regards to that form that you got in the mail, you filled out, and you sent back for the final expense insurance program for PA residents that pays for your final expenses, funeral expenses, and takes the burden off your family. You put down here, hon, that you're 56 years old.
Yes, I am.
Okay. And you put down here that you're at 7236 Grays Avenue in Philadelphia.
Yes.
Okay. Now, you didn't list a spouse here. Are you single or are you married, sweetheart?
I'm a single.
So you're single. Okay. All right. I just wanted to make sure here. And do you use any form of tobacco? Do you use cigarettes or anything?
No, ma'am.
None.
No,
Oh,
I don't smoke, I don't drink.
okay. Well, congratulations. That's two hard things for people to typically stay away from. So congratulations.
No, my habit is working.
I got it. Okay. All right. Well, I'm the field underwriter for Philadelphia County, and they have me out in your area tomorrow and Wednesday, dropping this off to a few people who requested it. I'm going to be out there both tomorrow and Wednesday. Which of those days would be a better day for you?
That's okay. Tomorrow I'm going to say whatever it is, I'm home.
Okay. How about tomorrow between 10 and 11 in the morning, or between 11:30 and 12:30? Which would you prefer?
Whatever good for you. I'm good.
Okay. Well, let's do between 10 and 11. How about that?
That's good.
Okay. And am I going to is this a single resident? Is this a house or is this an apartment building, sweetheart?
That's that house.
It's a house. Okay. And can I park in the driveway or on the street?
Yeah, you can drive in the house.
In the driveway. Okay, perfect. All right. Again, my name is Cyndi. I'll be the one coming out to see you. Just do me that favor of give me the window between 10 and 11 to reach you, okay?
Okay.
All right, wonderful. I'll see you tomorrow morning.
Okay, honey. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome, sweetheart. Bye-bye. And if anybody noticed, I say sweetheart and all those things. I mean, some people can do it, some people can't do it. It's just who I am. I mean, I've had people get upset before because I said, called them sweetheart. And then I'm like, I'm sorry, sweetheart. Like, it's like a double negative. I just can't stop doing it. So, I think people can tell when I think people can really, they can read you and they can tell when it's something like, there's some people who just say it because they're just being fake and phony about it. And then there's people who it's just who they are. And when I'm in an appointment, it's just who I am. I try to keep my calls, especially with these, very simple. I found the longer that you're on the phone, the more questions that you, unnecessary questions you make, you know what I mean? And, the best thing is to be able to sit down in front of them so that you can gather the information you need and build that relationship and then kind of go from there. So I really try to keep it as short as possible. I haven't had one with a spouse that's here, but you'll notice that when I talk to somebody who has a spouse and I set the appointment with one, is that I will always say, okay, so let's say it's Jim and Jane, and I speak with Jane. I'll say, Jane, now do me a favor. Make sure you let Jim know that we set this appointment for tomorrow between 10 and 11. I just don't want him surprised when a woman shows up at his house. And if it's a man that I'm speaking to, I'll be like, Jim, do me a favor. Just make sure you got to do me a favor. You got to tell Jane that we set this appointment for tomorrow between 10 and 11. I just don't want her surprised when some woman shows up at her house. And usually men laugh at it a little bit more than women. But I'm doing it, one, because I'm able to hold them accountable. So if I get to the door and Jane answers the door and I say, hi, I'm here for our appointment. And she's like, who are you? And you don't have an appointment. And, what's this all about? And I'll be like, oh, I am so sorry. Jim didn't tell you, did he? I said, I told him to make sure he told you. I did not want you surprised when a woman showed up at your door. And then she'll be like, oh, sweetheart, don't worry. He does that all the time. Now, all of a sudden, instead of the wife and I having a conflict, which is a very, very hard thing, especially females, and males too, male to male, it would be the same idea, is that now her and I are kind of on the same side of the table. So now her and I are together and, and she loves me. And then she'll yell, Jim, and she'll be like, now, you didn't tell me about this appointment with her. And he'll be like, oh, I forgot. I'd be like, I told you not to, to tell her. So she didn't, she wasn't surprised when I showed up. Now I show up and she's surprised that I'm here. So it's really a way to kind of hold them accountable. But again, it's another way to kind of burn it in their head to remind them that, that I'm coming. So I would really like to be able to make sure that I can, can hold them accountable as well. But I've just found doing this for 15 years at this point, I think. I don't know. Time flies when you're having fun, I guess. Sorry, and I can't write and talk at the same time. I've just found that it just works far better in my favor when I get to the house, because the one thing I don't want is I never want a wife to feel like something was done secretly behind her, or her to feel weird about the appointment, or, that she wasn't supposed to know about it. I want her to know right up front that I wanted her to be told right away that we had this appointment. I didn't want it to be a surprise for her. So, maybe a woman, that's really important to me, but I just feel like it, in the scheme of things, it definitely makes sense. All right. So the note I just took down was the voicemail box was a woman, because this is obviously Daryl. So Daryl, I would assume, is a man. I mean, I guess it could be a female, but typically a male name. So, and the reason I'm doing that is because the next time I call, I'd really prefer not to let it ring so many times that it gets to the voicemail. And then I know that, a woman may answer the phone, so I'm not surprised. And, then I also remember too, to double make sure that I, ask if he's married or significant other. A lot of times people fill this out, and if their spouse has coverage, but they don't, then they'll just put their name and their information down, and they'll leave the spouse's name and age blank, even though they do have a spouse. So, and I don't like to assume with that, because one legs, are no good. And again, I don't want to just show up and then not know that she even exists, because that really just does not.
Hello?
Hi, Elaine?
No, this is her daughter.
It's her daughter. Okay, this is Cyndi. I'm getting back to your mom from the Benefits Center for Philadelphia County. She had received a form in the mail. She filled it out and mailed it back for the final expense insurance for PA citizens.
Yes.
Okay. My job is simple. I'm just here to confirm the information that was sent back and to get a good time to get it out to her. Okay. Mom has here that she's 78 years old.
Yes.
Okay. Now, is she a tobacco or non-tobacco user, honey? Non-tobacco. Okay. Was she ever a tobacco user in the past?
Those was over about 40 years ago.
Ooh-wee. Okay. Well, congratulations to her. So funny you'd say 40 years ago, because I just turned 40 today. So look at that coinky dink. Okay. And mom's out there at Loretto Avenue in
Yes,
Philly.
she stays with me.
She stays with you. Perfect. Okay, that was going to be my next question. They actually, like I said, I'm the field underwriter. They actually have me out in your area tomorrow and Wednesday, dropping these off to about 10 other people as well.
Okay, you can stop by.
Okay, morning or afternoon or evening, what's better for you?
Morning is good.
Okay.
Let's say like about 10, 9, whatever.
I could do like between 10 and 11 on Wednesday. Would that work?
That's fine. Whatever time is good for you.
Okay, sweetie. Well, I will see you guys Wednesday between 10 and 11. And what is your name, sweetheart? Wanda. Aw. All right, Wanda. Well, thank you for being such a sweetheart. And again, my name is Cyndi. I'll be the one coming to see you.
Okay.
And then obviously just let mom know. I don't want her surprised when I show up at her door.
No. Okay then.
All right, sweetie. See you guys Wednesday.
Okay then.
All right. Bye-bye. And like you saw there, I just kept, the daughter answered. She knew what it was about. She obviously was there. She may even filled it out for mom. So I just went with it. I mean, there's no use in like, okay, well, I have to talk to her and I have to do these things. So I just rolled right along with it. I mean, so I'll just, when I go up to the door, I'll just be like, I'm sorry, I'm not even sure if I'm in the right place. I'm looking for North New Kirk Street, looks like 1839. And rather than asking for a name, and they'll be like, oh, that's me. I'm like, oh, great. I wasn't sure if I was in the right place. Oh, you must be Lisa then. Okay, Lisa, I'm Cyndi. I'm the field underwriter assigned to you. You had gotten this in the mail, filled it out, and sent it back. Unfortunately, when you sent it back, you must have forgot to put your phone number on here. So I didn't want you to get overlooked because obviously it's important. And then I look. It depends on whether I'm going door knocking for sits or sets. So if I'm door knocking for a sit, it means I'm door knocking and I want to try to sit with them right then and there. Sometimes it happens to be that it's really close and I'm looking to do it as a set appointment. So like I might say I have 10 or 12 appointments on Tuesday, but only have 8 on Wednesday. Well, I really don't want to sit with them then and possibly miss another appointment. I really want to try to set them for my Wednesday schedule to get that booked up so that it's packed. At the same point, I keep control. So if they're like, oh, I can't sit with you now, even if I was going there for a sit and really wanted to sit with them right that moment, if they're like, oh, well, I don't have time to do this right now. I'm like, oh, I'm sorry. I don't have time to do it now. I'm on my way to see somebody else. But they're right around the corner from you. So I didn't want you to get overlooked. So then I'll use a sit. Again, it's just all about, how you approach them, but I want to keep control. So that's my way of keeping control is then I just kind of switch my mindset that we're going from from doing a sit to a set. And then, okay, well, here's what I can do. I don't really have a whole lot of time, but I can squeeze you in here because I know I have a couple minutes. So that just lets them know. And then, of course, I tell them about my window to reach them because I don't have driving time built into my schedule. I'm seeing so many people, but I don't have time to move in. So I'm going to get in, get what I need, get out, get them taken care of, answer their questions, so on and so forth. So they have an idea of what's going on. So they know that the appointment's not going to take long, but at the same point, they know they have to give me that window. So it's not like they're going to be at 10 o'clock and at 10:15, they're leaving at 10:16. They know they need to give me that time because I don't have driving time, but the appointment itself is not going to be a long, drawn-out process. And I think that's a really important thing that a lot of new people miss, is that I really try not to give a set period of time. I just say, hey, I'm going to be out in your area. I need to try to find. I really try not to corner myself into a set period of time that they need, because then when you sit down with them, their clock starts going. If I told them it's not going to take a lot of time but never gave them, everybody's interpretation of that is different. So therefore, and usually once they meet me and we get talking, they wouldn't care if I moved in because they love me. Families like to adopt me for some reason, which I'm good with. I've got extended family all over the place. But that just shows you're building really good rapport. Your people trust you. They care about you. It's wonderful. Actually, I got a birthday wish from one of my policyholders in West Virginia who We used to go down there. My entire family would go down there, and we would go down there for 4th of July, or we'd go down there and, spend a week and hang out with them, or have cookouts with them, or spend Mother's Day with them. So just, it's just an extended family that, we aren't blood related, but may as well have been, because some of these people, let me tell you, some of these are my soul sisters. So, hi, Geraldine.
This is her niece. I asked who's calling.
Sure, this is Cyndi. I'm getting back to her in regards to a form that she got in the mail and she filled out and sent back for final expense insurance programs for PA residents.
She actually passed away on Friday, hon.
Oh my goodness, I am so sorry to hear that, sweetheart.
That's okay.
Oh, is that why? Are you handling all her affairs and that for her, everything that needs done?
Yeah, myself and my mother.
Yourself and your mother. Okay. Well, this information that she filled out to send back, obviously I don't know what you guys are still dealing with since she just so recently passed away. But I can definitely make sure that I get back in touch with you so that I can get this information to you guys. Obviously, she felt it was important, because if you know her very well, you know she didn't just fill out information and just send it back to anybody. You know what I mean?
No, not really.
Yeah. So I don't know. Are you going to be around at all tomorrow or Wednesday that I could stop out and see you?
I'm not exactly sure right now. There's a lot going on. If you
Absolutely.
give me a call tomorrow, I can let you know if I'll be around Wednesday.
Okay. And what is your first name again, sweetheart? I'm sorry.
Jamie, Jamie.
Okay, sweetie. Well, and is this the number to reach you at, or do I need to call you on a different number?
No, this is good. You'll either get myself or my wife, Robin.
Or your wife, Robin. Okay, I'll make a note of that too. Okay, just let Robin know I might be calling too, so she's not surprised if some woman's calling your house or anything. Okay.
I will, hon. Thank you so much.
All right, sweetie. I'll talk to you tomorrow.
Okay.
All right. Bye-bye. Okay, so again, wow, that's sad, because on this form too, she has Lawrence listed as deceased, and then she passed away. And again, people don't, especially someone who's 76 years old, if you understand their generation, they don't just send things back, especially their personal information. They're one of the most private generations that's left, you could say, that is super protective of their information. They don't like people to know what they have or how things are going to be handled or what's going to be done. So my assumption always is that when someone is in that age group and they send something back, then they felt it was important, because otherwise they wouldn't put their personal information. She wouldn't put her husband, that he was deceased, and all of that information on there, not once but twice. So then getting that information out to the family is important, because guess what? They're all thinking about it, right? And it's not about, I remember I was training someone before, and they're like, oh, well, that's like being an ambulance chaser. And it's really not. As you saw, I mean, I left it open first off that, this might be too soon, okay? Because they're handling things and having a funeral, and, that makes sense, right? At the same point, I went back around and said, well, I will be out there tomorrow and Wednesday. Do you have any availability that I could stop by and go over this with you? So by then saying that, then she was like, oh, well, if you call me tomorrow, then, can come out Wednesday. So again, remember I said the leads aren't always about that's the person that you're going to sit down with, that's the person you're going to see. Geraldine, in her own way, not even knowing it, may have been turning around to help her family to make sure that they aren't in the position. And of course, I'll figure out, what that, position is, whether those things were handled, whether they weren't. But that has an impact on their family. So, again, so now I can call tomorrow to see availability for Tuesday. And then, of course, she told me her name, then her wife's name. And then, of course, you saw that I, said, hey, just let her know that you might be getting a call back. You'll be getting a call back from me, just so you aren't surprised. Again, I never, ever want people to be, to be surprised when I'm calling. And this as well, so this one, when I have a call back, someone I need to get back in touch with, as you know, when you start going a mile a minute in the field and you're going from house to house to house to house, it's easy to get to the end of your day and then find it in there and be like, oh, I totally forgot to call them. So again, what I will do is on my schedule, I have I list on the very bottom. There's a couple spaces. So the first one down below was for my numbers, and then I have a couple other spaces, and I just write calls in there. So when I write calls, then I'll write the person's name, the phone number, and that way that when I'm in the field too, I also remember to call these people and I don't forget, because I do, and I know myself well enough to know that that's something that I need to remind myself of. So I'll make myself a note here to make sure that I call. Make sure you're looking too. So like this lead says Frederick, but then he wrote his name as Fred. So obviously, for new people, you just always want to make sure that you use the name Fred, because like I'm a Cynthia, but if you call me Cynthia, we might have to fight because I hate that name. I'm definitely a Cyndi all day, every day, and of course twice on Mondays now. So just always make sure you're using whatever name that they list in there, especially if it's an abbreviated name, or if they correct you. If you call them and it says Cynthia and they wrote Cynthia just because that's their legal name, so that's how they wrote it, and then they're like, oh, Cyndi, then make sure you make yourself a note and always call them Cyndi. Or like some guys, like my father-in-law is a Floyd, but he goes by Butch. So if you call him Floyd, he knows you don't know him because nobody calls him Floyd. Everybody calls him Butch. So just doing little things like that as well is going to really help when you go back, because then it shows there's familiarity, that you know them, that only people who know them call them by that name. So then as soon as they correct me, I switch it right away. And every time I say their name in the script, I'm always using the abbreviated name, because again, I want them to feel comfortable that they're talking to somebody who they know, who they can trust. And that's really important, because this is just your first level of rapport building with them. Which is why I don't have a booker either. I've tried in the past, but I really prefer to book my own appointments.
You have reached the Smith family. Please leave your name and number after the beep.
Okay, so that says Smith family. So I just put VMB voicemail box, and I just put Smith family. So again, I just make sure to reiterate to myself to make sure that I'm asking whether he has a spouse.
You have reached.
You have reached 215.
Aw, thank you, Nicola. I appreciate that. She said, you look good at 40. A policyholder the other day, funny enough, so I go to her house and I'm running late. This was Saturday. I was running late for the appointment. And I try not to call because it gives them an out to not be there. And since it was Saturday night between like 7:30 and 8:30, a lot of times people aren't going anywhere after that, especially in where I was working at. So I wasn't really too concerned about them leaving. Well, I get to the door, the kid like shuts off the light. He's a teenager, shuts off the light because he thought I was his sister at first, and so he thought he was going to play a trick on his sister and shut off the light. And I'm like, what the heck is going on? So anyway, he answers the door, and I was like, oh, I'm here for my appointment with so-and-so. And he was like, oh, yeah, they just ran to the store. They waited for you, so on and so forth. And I was like, oh, okay. He's like, but I can call her. And I was like, okay. So I'm thinking that this is her brother. And he uses his phone. He's like, call mom. And I'm thinking, does he not know I said that who I'm coming here to see? And I forget that people in their 30s have kids that are teenagers. And so it was really funny. So I told her when I went back, we ended up scheduling for the next day. And I went back and saw them and set both her and her husband up with mortgage protection. But when I saw her, I said, oh my goodness, your poor son. I said, I must have looked so confused because I was thinking that he was misunderstanding what I was saying because I thought it was your brother. And she was like, I said, you look so young, like you don't look like you could have a teenager. And when I think of someone 33, I don't think of someone having a teenager, already. And I said, I'm 39. I don't know why I think 33 is, just so much younger than me. She's like, wow, I wouldn't know you were that age. I was like, aw. So she was already on my good side. I was helping her. She was trying to help a sister out. All right, everyone. So I am going to sister snatch myself a snack so that I can keep on going. I hope you guys got something out of this. I will definitely jump on later on today. And if someone you had on your team didn't have a chance, definitely, have them take a look at this. If you have any questions, send them over to me. And if you just wanted to hop on later and see what I run into later on and how I handle that, by all means, join me back. All right, guys, have a great day. Bye.